Hey y'all, it's India, Miss Butterfly 112. Let's make my cassava flour soft baked chocolate chip cookies 4 different ways. Semi-sweet, white chocolate, dark chocolate chips and chunks, 2 different types of dark chocolate, and M&Ms. I mean, you can't go wrong with any one of these. 2 1/4 cup of cassava flour. Teaspoon of baking soda, homemade aluminum-free baking powder. If you never saw the recipe for this, please watch that video. But we need a teaspoon of aluminum-free baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt. I'm using Himalayan. I'm going to give it a quick mix, and then we're going to set it aside. Okay, in a bowl we need a cup of butter at room temp, so 2 sticks of butter. I'm using salted. Use whatever you like. 1 cup of cane sugar. I'm using organic cane sugar. 1 cup of brown sugar. I'm using homemade, and you want it packed. 1 cup of packed brown sugar. Look how beautiful this homemade brown sugar is. Love it. So 1 cup of brown sugar. Now cream the butter and sugars until combined. You could use a hand mixer or a stand mixer. I'm just going to do this by hand, and I'm going to press that butter into the sugar to get it mixed. See how it's starting to combine? That's all you want to do. Simple. Okay. The butter and sugars are combined. Add 2 eggs. Two teaspoons of vanilla. I am not measuring it. I'm using homemade vanilla. Okay, we're going to give this a good whisk until it is light in color and fluffy and well combined. See how the color is starting to change? It's starting to get fluffy. Just make sure that everything is completely combined. On all this goodness on this whisk in this bowl. Now we're going to slowly mix in the dry ingredients with the wet. I'm going to mix half of this at a time. I'm going to add the rest. And we're going to continue to mix until everything is combined. Rotate your bowl. That also helps making sure everything is getting mixed in well. Okay, this is what your dough looks like when it's all mixed. And now it's time for the fun part, to add in the chocolate chips. Okay, so this is where you would fold in your chocolate chips of whatever kind you are using. I'm going to make 4 different types of cookies. I think I'm going to do 4 of each type of cookie. Make sure your oven is preheated at 375. Okay, we're going to start with the semi-sweet chocolate chips. However many you want. Now we're going to do white chocolate chip. And now we're going to do the dark chocolate chips and chunks. And now the M&M cookies. Okay, while the cookies are baking, we are going to just put the rest of this batter into the refrigerator so that the dough stays firm. You don't want the butter to start to melt out of the dough. Just a close-up before it goes into the oven. This is the before. I can't wait till the hubby comes home and try these cookies. Y'all, these look amazing to me. Cassava Flour soft baked chocolate chip cookies. Okay, so with the rest of the cookie dough that we had saved in the refrigerator while the cookies were baking, we're going to prep for the freezer. First, I'm going to bake a few, so this is going to be like a bonus recipe. I think I'm going to do dark chocolate chips and chunks with some sprinkles. I'm doing 2 dark chocolate chips and 2 dark chocolate chunks, but you put however many you want. Okay, add some sprinkles, the red and white sprinkles. I'm going to first just add it to my hands. It's okay if they fall. Just put a little bit on top of each one and then press them in. A little bit of a mess first. Then you're gonna see I'm just randomly pressing them in. So into a preheated oven at 375, and we're gonna bake this for 9 minutes. Okay, these are fresh out of the oven. Let this completely cool on this baking sheet. We're gonna do like we did before for the freezer meal prep and scoop some dough onto the parchment lined baking sheet first. Then we're gonna add our toppings. Again, you could fold in your toppings and then add a few on top for aesthetics, but I'm just adding it on top, but do whatever you want. So scoop, then decorate. Might hear my Pomeranian snoring in the background. I'm going to start decorating some of these so I can make some more space. So I can push them closer together. Starting with the dark chocolate chips and chunks. White chocolate. I mean, you can really decorate this however you want, but this is what we're going with today. Okay, let's do some M&M. See how easy? Now we're going to move these a little closer together. Don't put them too close. You want to be able to separate them. Now we're going to do some semi-sweet. Okay, for the last ones, I'm going to do some sprinkles. Just again, put it in my hand. This time I am going to press it. And whatever falls behind, you can just press it into the cookie afterwards. So if you're already going to bake some cookies, you might as well make extra and prep some for the freezer. These are going to go into the freezer as my freezer meal prep. After this, I'm going to just bake up and eat fresh. So, into the freezer. I don't know if I said this, but this dough did sit in the refrigerator for a day. I had an allergic reaction to something and I was so sick. So I'm doing this a day later. So the dough will be a little firmer than if I had just only put it in there for like an hour or so. Again, preheated oven, 375. We're gonna bake it for 9 minutes. I'm gonna do M&M. Okay, so when they come out of the oven and you want to flatten them a little, just give them a little couple of taps onto the counter and it will flatten it out a little. Still keep your shape. You might lose a chocolate chip or M&M, but you can just easily put that back on because they're soft to bake. But look at this, y'all. So we're gonna let these cool again. Okay, here's the comparison of baking the cookies when the dough is fresh versus when the dough been sitting in the refrigerator for a day. This was when the dough was freshly made, and this was a day later. This also was cooked in my regular oven, and this was cooked in my smart toaster oven. So that also made a difference in whether it spread and whether it did not. But they're going to taste the same. Cookies straight from the freezer that we flash froze. And now we're just going to put them into a Ziploc bag. I would have, make sure you label the bag. I would have put them in my silicone reusable bags, but apparently I am out at the moment. So you're just going to put them into the bag, and then you'll be able to get some cookies, whatever type of cookie you want, whenever you want, and bake them up. Now, lay it flat into my freezer and freeze. Take out some of this air. And there you go. You have cookie dough to make fresh cookies whenever you want. I hope y'all enjoy this video and this recipe. I know it may be long for some people, but I do enjoy just teaching how I make stuff, and this is a slow living homestead. I take my time to make things, and just how I do things.